Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. I'm located in Oregon in the United States. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope everybody here in the Pacific Northwest is staying dry and flood water free. We have a lot of rain and the river is very high. So let's go ahead and see if we can get a look at who's on. And there we go. Got the comments up. And here we are. All right. So we've got several announcements to make tonight. I'm going to give everybody a minute to find us here. And then we've got one card and one 3D project tonight. So hopefully nobody's without power. That could be an issue too. Hi, Tracy. Thanks for joining me. I'm happy to see you here. All right. Well, let's see. Hello, Cynthia. Thanks for joining. So far, so good. Two on, and we must have electricity. Summer kitty. Sorry, you guys. Get out the trash can. Get out the trash can. Go on. Oh my goodness, she's down there digging in my paper trash. Driving me crazy. Boot her out here. She gets in there and digs at the plastic garbage liner and then tears it all up. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about some things that you all need to know about. So starting tomorrow, December 10th, actually tonight at midnight, 12:01 a.m. Mountain Time, or 11:01 p.m. Pacific Time here in Oregon, 3 days of free shipping on qualifying orders of $75 or more goes live. So what Stampin' Up! Needs you to know is that any orders that are placed during this promotion are not, repeat, not guaranteed to arrive before or by Christmas. Okay, so currently Stampin' Up! Says that they are running a little behind, 4 to 5 business days just to ship. So figure that into your time, and it will only get worse as the free shipping orders come in. So again, free shipping, $75 of orders or more, and that is after your rewards or any coupons that you add. Okay, so keep that in mind. And while you're shopping, be sure to check out the Last Chance products. Stampin' Up! Updated that on the 4th of November, I think it was. So if you haven't already checked that out, or you've been looking at some things, now is the time to throw those into your cart for free shipping. Okay. In addition, the free shipping threshold also brings you to the product of the month threshold, which this month is a pack of Designer Series papers in blue. Hello, Laura. And so you can throw that product of the month into your cart. It does not count toward the $75. You actually have to meet that $75 threshold before it will allow you to select that. Okay, and again, that too is after you've used any coupons or Stampin' Rewards. Okay, And then starting tomorrow, there is a virtual card retreat kit, 170023, that's going to go live. And when you purchase the kit, it comes with a 2-day card making retreat that is virtual. And so you can take a look at that. Of course, that will put you over the free shipping amount. And the whole kit, it comes with stamps and everything you need to make the cards for the virtual retreat. Okay, so keep that in mind. In addition, for Paper Pumpkin subscribers, today is the very last day of the prepaid Paper Pumpkin subscription. You must have that completed here in Oregon by 10:59 p.m. or Mountain Time 11:59 p.m. And then when you purchase the prepaid Paper Pumpkin, you'll get the December kit and all of the add-on kits, add-on dies, and current refills and past Paper Pumpkin kits will go on sale again tomorrow. Everything happens tomorrow, and that will last the whole free shipping time, so the December 10th through the 12th. So you'll want to keep that in mind. If you already have Paper Pumpkin, then there will be a sale on those refills and past kits that you'll want to check out and throw in your cart as well. And then on the 11th, the newest Paper Pumpkin add-on dies will be available for purchase. So I think I covered everything. Does anybody have any questions? If you do, be sure to put them in the comments. I'll try to keep an eye out for that. And then we're going to go ahead and get started now. Okay, so my plan for tonight is to use different products that you can purchase today or tomorrow with the free shipping. So we're going to play with the Swirled Designs bundle. This is a stamp set, 7-piece photopolymer stamp set, and then it also has 10 coordinating dies that are included in the bundle. And anytime you purchase a bundle with Stampin' Up using the bundle code, you save 10% off of each of the items over the price that you would pay if you purchased them individually. Okay, so we're going to be using that. I'm going to use one stamp here, this one right here from Sunshine Vibes. This is a 2025-2026 annual catalog stamp set, and then you can also purchase it with coordinating dies in a bundle and save that money on the bundle price. I will be using the Creative Haven dies, specifically this one here. And this was part of the November online exclusives release. As you can tell, that's in the new packaging. And then I'll be using one stamp from Magic and Hope. This is on the last chance list. It was originally 20 bucks. Now it's down to 16, and we'll be using this bow. And for my sentiments, I'm using The Right Words. This is from the 2025 to 2026 annual catalog. And the great thing about this is that it covers many different occasions, and you have outside sentiments and inside sentiments all in one stamp set. Okay. As you can tell, Swirled Designs does not have any sentiments. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, the other thing that we're using, sorry, man, I really threw everything all together on this card to come up with it. We're going to be using the Textured Notes dies, and we're going to be using the largest and the second largest of these two rectangular dies for this. Okay, let's bring out our card stuff. We're going to start with stamping. So I'm going to bring in from the Swirled Designs. Let me Okay, what did I do? There we go. Got to get my card design here so I can see what I'm doing. All right, so we're going to take some basic gray ink and the circle from the Swirled Designs. And we're going to ink this up. Okay, I can just ink it down here at the bottom. I don't need this whole piece. This is just a scrap to stamp on. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to set this one aside. I'm going to take those off because they're going to drive me crazy. I'm going to keep that out. We're going to get I made a mask out of the Stampin' Up masking paper for this circle. And I just stamped it on the non-sticky side of the masking paper. And then I fussy cut it out. And I'm just going to put this down here like this. I need to get that in there a little bit better. I think I've got more at the bottom than at the top, and the top is where I'm going to stamp, so I need to make sure that I don't leave a halo here. So I've got to get that lined up just so I don't end up with a halo. And you would think this masking paper would cooperate a little bit better. Okay, then I'm going to take that half circle from Sunshine Vibes, and I am going to stick this on here. I'm going to move it, wiggle it just a little bit, and I'm going to line that back up and press that right there. So I mess that up. And then we're going to do the same thing again. Make sure we get a nice solid image there. Okay. And then we're going to remove our mask. And that is what we have. Woohoo. There is lots going on, Tracy. Lots and lots. Okay. So I'm done with this at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and, no, I'm not. I'm not going to cut that out yet. Let's do a little bit more stamping. I'm going to set this aside. And we will come back to that. Let's bring out that. This is the second largest of the textured notes dies, and I have cut that out of basic white. And I'm just going to put this down on my silicone mat so this does not move. Okay, I don't want my paper to move. And then I'm going to bring in my strawberry slush ink and these tiny little flowers. These are also from that Swirled Designs right here. Oh, wait a minute, before I do that, give me back this. I forgot to, I want to do this first. You can do it backwards, but it's just better if you do it now. Okay, so I'm going to take that same circle that I started with. I'm going to ink that up in the basic gray and stamp off. And then okay, I'm going to stamp that down. I'm going to ink it up again, stamp off. Okay, now I've got those. Now I'm going to bring in those flowers. I'm going to randomly stamp these. Turning my stamp every which way here. All right. Not going to worry about that because I'm covering that for sure. I'm going to go ahead and put just a little bit there, and we'll see how this looks. Now, also from that same Swirl Designs, we've got a splotchy stamp here. And we're just going to stamp this in here randomly. And I'm stamping off so that this isn't way dark. Okay, there we go. So we've got that. That background is looking really nice for what I want. So I'm going to go ahead and, no, I'm not, because I need to stamp my sentiment here. But I am going to close up the straw. No, I still got to stamp with that too. Never mind. Okay, so let's go ahead and move this out of the way. I'm going to line this up here. I recommend that you do this, that you stamp and then do this afterwards, but I'm trying to save myself some time here. So we're going to, I've cut a 1/2 inch strip. I'm going to ink up the happy birthday from the right words. Hello, Lynette. And I am going to try to center that as best I can. That is not too shabby. Let's turn it over though. Let's try again. See if we can get it a little bit straighter. A little bit straighter. Okay, there we go. That's why there's 2 sides to every piece of paper. Okay, so we're going to set that aside for a minute. And then I'm going to bring this piece back in. We're going to take that bow from Magic and Hope and some Strawberry Slush ink. I'm going to stamp that. And we're going to turn around and go right in with some Wink of Stella. And I'm going to just run some Wink of Stella over the top of the bow. I'm not worried about the tails because I'm not using that part. I just want the bow. Okay. Clean that off in case I got some ink on it. Now I've got a nice pretty bow. Okay, and that is pretty much all the stamping for the front of this card. So let's go ahead and set all that aside. We've got a little bit of fussy cutting to do, but before we fussy cut that, let's bring in one of our dies. Okay, so I've taken from the Swirled Designs dies, and I've taken this small one right here, and I took a piece of scrap, basic black, put some adhesive sheet on the back, and then I ran that through my die cut machine so that I would have this adhesive on the back. Trust me, this is much easier. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to pick that up. Hopefully I can get a hold of that edge. There we go. Okay. And I'm not going to pull it all the way off. So I'm just going to pull it down a little bit. And then I'm going to take this piece here. And I'm going to line this up with the ears here. Like so. Kind of like that. I'm going to press that down part way. And then I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to give that a snip. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to finish pulling that off. And I'm going to line this one up like so. I'm going to give that a press where I want it to lay. Give that a little trim. Now I don't need this piece, so I'm just going to toss that. I've got a little extra here that I don't want. I'm going to trim that off with my scissors. And then I'm going to kind of redirect this a bit. Didn't stay, I didn't get it exactly like I would have liked to have. So with this adhesive sheet, I can kind of maneuver that into how I want it, and then give it just a good little press. And I've got this how I want it. So now I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to burnish that. And that's going to seal that adhesive to that paper. Okay, now I'm ready to give this a good little trim. I'm going to trim this pretty close. Leave just the tiniest white border. Almost done. There we go. And now we have our little mouse head. Okay. Now I would fussy cut the top part of this. And through the magic of television, I've already done that. So I'm going to take this. And I'm going to take a glue dot and I'm going to roll that up on my take your pick tool. Put that in the center there. And add that right in the center here. And this is now ready for our card. Okay. So we're almost ready to assemble this. Let's go ahead and fix this up. I'm going to give that a good press with my scoring tool there, or my bone folder, I mean. And then we're going to bring in a punch that, yeah, I know it's not available at the moment because it's on back order, but I'm going to use it anyway. This is called the 3-banner punch. And I'm going to stick this in the center layer here. That's why I cut it up. Okay, be stubborn. We're going to go this way then. Huh. Okay, and then I'm just going to give this a little trim. And I'll do the same thing over here. Only hopefully this time it'll cooperate a little bit better. And it did. Look at that. Then I'm just going to try to make those even. All right. And now we have our sentiment banner cut to the size we need. And we are ready to start putting this card together. Okay. So we're going to take the largest of the textured notes dies. I've cut this in basic black. We're going to add that stamped piece that we did. We're going to put this, center this in here. Okay. Then I've taken a piece of the 25 to 27 in color 6x6 paper, and I've used that Creative Haven dies right here. And I've cut me a piece of that. And then I'm just going to give that a little flick with my thumb here. Better get that off of there just in case I mess it up. I don't want adhesive where I don't want it. So I'm going to put this up at the top. I'm going to center it, but I'm putting it right along the decorative edge of the textured notes there. Okay, then we're going to add our mouse head here. With some dimensionals. We're going to stick this right on here like this. Take our happy birthday. We'll flip that over and put a couple of dimensionals on there. And then we're going to put this down here, like so. And then finally, we're going to add some Strawberry Slush and Pretty in Pink gems. These are in the online exclusives. Okay, and then I'm going to use these Strawberry Slush ones down here. So I'm going to take and put one about here. Oh, let's move that in a bit. About right there. I'll take a smaller one and I'll put it up here. And then I'll take another larger one and I'll put it right there. Give those a press with the tip of my Take Your Pick putty cap. And that is the outside of our card. And for the inside, I stamped that mouse head again, added in the gems, and added the sentiment to someone we're celebrating every single day. Oh, I forgot to grab the thick basic white card base, you guys. Well, that was silly. Okay, so let's go ahead and I don't have an extra one, I guess. So we're just going to take an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper. I'm going to score it down the center on the 8.5 inch side at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to cut this at 5 1/2. And then I will have 2 card bases ready to go. Okay, so we'll use this one and I'll save that other one for another time. And then we'll just burnish this. The thick basic white really needs a good score and a burnish. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add this to the inside of our card. You could just stamp on the inside if you wanted. I think this dresses it up a little bit more. And then we're going to add this to the outside. And now our card is finished. Cute little unique card. Okay, there you have it. And then for the envelope, I used the addressed to you stamp set. This was released in the November online exclusives, currently available. I took this stamp right here, stamped that down, and then used those flowers, those same flowers from the Swirled Designs to finish that off. And then there's a balloon stamp in that address to you, and I added that and colored those in to match. Okay, so there we have it. Project number 1 is complete. Hello, Jennifer. All right, I hope you guys liked that. something a little bit out of the norm from what you might expect to see with that stamp set. So let's go ahead and pick up my things that I'm not going to need and get those out of the way for our next project, which just so happens to be a 3D project. And yes, I'm doing a Valentine's project. It's okay. Okay, so we're going to move these out of the way because I don't need those. Get that. We'll get this set aside. And I'm pretty sure I don't need that. So let's bring in this one. And for this one, we're going to be using Valentine Kisses, the stamps and coordinating dies. I've done all my die cutting ahead of time to save us some time. We're going to be using some Lights of Aurora 6x6 designer series paper. And we're also going to be using from the annual catalog, Country Woods. This is a pack of designer series paper with all kinds of wood prints. It's been around for a while. It's a favorite of mine. And so we're going to use those. All right, we're just going to use a scrap of the Lights of Aurora. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Colors for this are pretty much Pretty in Pink and Early Espresso for our stamps. All right. Oh, this is just this piece of black was just to lay my pieces out with. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I did here for die cuts. I've taken the banner die and cut that out in Pretty in Pink. I've taken the, this makes a kissing booth, so I made the bottom of the booth in the Country Woods. And then this is just a scrap piece that is 1 5/8 by about 1 1/2. And you need to make sure that the 1 5/8 side is this way. Yep, I need that wide side. And then I cut from the Lights of Aurora paper. I cut, well, let me tell you what I did first, because at first I didn't do this and then I did. So you need a piece of basic white that is about, you want it to be about 2 inches. You want one piece of the Lights of Aurora in the Berry Burst, and you need it about 2 inches wide and about 2.5 inches long. And you need the same size of basic white scrap. Okay. So I'll show you how I did this. Oh, yep, got enough here. Let me just cut this down, because this is what you need to do in order to make this really work the way it needs to work. So we're going to cut this at 2.5. 2.5. Okay. By about 2. Good to go. All right. Come on, paper, get off of it. Wow. That wanted to stay on my cutting tool. Okay, and then you're going to take the same size in your Lights of Aurora paper here. And I recommend you use liquid glue. And glue these two pieces together. Just like this. Okay? It doesn't matter if it isn't perfect. Okay? So once you get that all nice and glued together, then you can die cut that with the top part of the kissing booth. This piece right here. I've got white on the back and the Berry Burst on the front. Yes, you can cut them separately and glue them together, but because of all these little dots, it gets a little messy. So trust me, do it this way. It's a lot easier. Okay, so we've got that piece too. And then from a piece of basic white, you're going to cut one of the little scallop, border scallops here. I'm going to take a scrap of basic white, doesn't need to be big. And we're going to take the partial bear here. I'm going to stamp him in early espresso. And then we're going to color. Take a little pretty in pink here. Put some right there on his lips. I'm going to take some ivory. This is from the Stampin' Blends alcohol markers. I'm going to put some on his, I call it his schnozzle. And whoops, I did his ears wrong. Actually, the ivory's supposed to go here. Crazy me. Okay, and then we're going to take light crumb cake. Do the ears. Do this all in here. Take that. Color that in. Okay. Color that. And then I'm going to go back with the dark real quick. I'm just going to run a line right by his paws in the dark and right by there. And then we're going to go back with the light while that's still nice and wet. And then I'm going to finish off coloring. Okay. So here's our little bear. And then we're going to cut the bear out with the coordinating die, which I've already done right there. Okay, now we're ready to start putting our little box together as soon as we make the box. I'm just going to set these aside. Oh, and I need to mention that when you die cut these, you get these teeny tiny little hearts. You want to save those because we're going to use them. Okay, so we've got those. We've got a couple of these cut, so we're good. Let's set that aside and make our box real quick. Okay, so for my box, I've got a piece of the Country Woods Designer Series paper, and this piece is 5 5/8 by 5 inches. Okay, so 5 5/8 by 5. I'm going to get out my scoring tool because this is how I prefer. Of course, you can use your trimmer if you wish, but I like to do it this way. I'm going to start on the 5 5/8 inch side. I'm going to score this at 1 inch, 2 5/8 inches, 3 5/8, and 5 1/4. Okay, so again, 1, 2 5/8, 3 5/8, and 5 1/4. Then I'm going to rotate, and I'm going to score on the 5 inch side at 1 inch, 3 1/2, and 4 1/2. Okay, now it's hard to see the score marks, I know, but you don't want to score too hard because you'll put a hole in your paper. Okay, so we're going to just go in here and fold these, and you don't want to be too too crazy with your bone folder. And yeah, right there. There it is. You can feel where those score marks are. So we're just going to fold those over. Got one here and one here. Okay, so here's our template. This is going to be our glue tab right here. So I'm going to do an angle cut on the largest rectangle, and then I'm going to cut off this skinny little rectangle down to where I just made that angle cut. Okay, then I'm going to repeat that on this end. Right there, and I'm going to cut off 2 skinny rectangles from this end. Okay, and then this is the top of our box. This is the bottom of our box. So I'm just going to go up on the larger rectangles, and then okay, so I've cut all those, and then I'm going to come to the top. I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to go down 2 score lines. So I'm going to cut near the large rectangle there to the sides of the score lines, like I tell you a lot. Okay, and then now I don't need this one. That's the one by the glue tab. I'm going to remove this one, both sections. Okay, up to that first score there. All right, so I've got that. You can actually, if you want, you could use this. I chose a different pattern. Okay, and then I'm going to bring back in my trimmer. And I'm going to, on the top part, I'm going to fold down that large section, and I'm going to put this in my trimmer at the 3/4 mark. And I know it's 3/4 because I have 1, 2, 3 sections here. Okay. If you don't trim these, then your things will overlap. Okay. And now I'm going to put both large sections here. And I'm going to do this at 3/4 because this is only 1.5 inches, and these are 1 inch. Obviously, 1 inch and 1 inch adds up to 2 inches instead of 1.5 inches. So then you end up with extra bulk that you don't need. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to angle cut my my tabs here. And angle cut both sides. I'm going to angle cut here and here. Don't get too crazy here because this is going to hold your box closed. Okay, so a little bit of an angle cut just down to that first score line. Okay. All right, so we've got that. Now I'm going to take a small, this is a 3/4 inch punch, and I am going to put a little finger notch on this tab that I cut the top off. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in there, line it up as best I can, and put a little bit of a finger notch in there. Now you can hand round this or you can use a corner rounder. I'm going to use a corner rounder. Stampin' Up! Does not sell a corner rounder currently, so I'm just going to use what you have just to round those tops. Okay, this is now ready to put together. Okay, but before we do that, this is going to be the back of our box right here, the one with the finger tab. This is going to be the front. So while this is flat, I'm going to go ahead and decide which part of this I want up and which I want down. I want this because I'm going to stamp here. So I'm going to go ahead and add this to my front section. I'm going to line it up with the top of my box right there. And I'm just going to put that down. Okay. Just like that. Okay, it doesn't matter if you can see a little bit at the top. You'll see why in a minute. It'll all be okay. All right. So let's go ahead and put some tear and tape on here and close this box up. So I'm going to put my tear and tape on my long glue tab on the side here, right next to the score line. Not over it, but next to it. And then I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the inside of the front bottom of my box. And I know it's the front bottom because it's the same one that has this long tab. Okay. This is our tuck tab for our top. All right, so let's go ahead and burnish those down so we can get them to stay. And then we'll remove our backing here. And I'm going to fold this over on the second score line from the left and lay that flat, and the first score line from the right. Make sure those all line up the way I want them. And then I'm just going to press that down. Give that a good burnish. Okay. I'm going to take my box, fold my two sides in on the top, close my box. I like to put the back in first, and then I'm going to remove the tear tape backing off of this piece right here that's on the front. And then to give this a little extra stability, I'm going to put just a little bit of liquid glue here on these two side tabs on the inside. I'm going to fold them in and fold that front back over the bottom. And then we'll take our foam folder, give that a good burnish. And then I'm going to take 6 Hershey's Kisses. These are dark chocolate Hershey's Kisses. And I'm going to drop these in the box here. Remember, this has got the finger hole, so it's going to be the back of our box. So we're going to turn that around, and now we're going to start putting things together. Okay? So we're going to start by taking our bottom wood part and our scallop piece here. And I'm just going to put dots of glue in each little section there. That'll be enough to hold it. Okay. And this is designed to fit right at the top here, just like that. It's easier to assemble this before you put it on the box, trust me. Okay. And then I'm going to take this piece, and I could have used adhesive sheets here, but then I would have had trouble getting the backing off of those teeny tiny little hearts, and I didn't want that, so I'm just going to use dots of glue. Okay. And to ensure that's not going to be too much, I'm just going to give that a quick little dot there on my silicone mat. Lay that down right there. Okay, and this piece is now ready to add to our box. So we're going to start with this piece first. We're going to put a little bit of glue between the stitching and up here. No, not up here. What am I thinking? Just on the stitching on the sides. This top part is going to stick over, so we're just going to go right here, right along the very top on the stitching. Go very light with your glue so it doesn't ooze through. Okay. And then we're going to take this and we're going to put this on like so, and line that up. Make sure that you can still see air through the hearts, so it looks like it's sticking up above. Okay, there we go. Let's just give that a good press. It's kind of sticking to my fingers. Give it a press with our bone folder. All right. Now I'm going to lay this on here for a minute, just like this. I'm going to take my bear and a dimensional. I'm going to just put one at the top. Okay. And then I'm going to slide this under here how I want it to be. Okay, got that. Now I can take, and all along this bottom part here, I can put glue right on the box. Okay. And then I'm just going to set this on here, line it up even with the bottom, center it left and right. Give that a little press. And because I didn't put a glue dot at the bottom, or a dimensional at the bottom, this is all going to lay pretty well. Okay. Now, it's easier to do this when you've got stuff in it, but we're going to take all of our stuff out here in just a minute and give those a good burnish. But I want to take there's this really teeny tiny XOXO stamp that comes in the Valentine Kisses. And we're going to take that XOXO and Pretty in Pink. And I'm going to stamp this right up here in the center, like so. Then I'm going to bring back in my silicone mat. I'm going to bring in those teeny tiny little hearts. Put a little dab of glue up here. Nothing too crazy. Get my take your pick tool. I want the big berry burst heart. So I'm going to take that. Just going to dip it in that glue. Press it down there. Then I'm going to take two of those teeny tiny little Pretty in Pink hearts and dip that in. And then we'll get a second one. Put it down here. Oh, that's a white one. That's from doing it, cutting out the other way. I need a pink one. Hang on. Get a and pink one right here. Put that down. And then I'm going to take 2 of the smaller berry burst. And I'm going to put one over here. And grab another one. And put it down here. Okay. Then I'm going to put the lid. I'm going to take your pick tool. Give those just a little bit of a push, not much. And there is our finished box. Okay. Now I'm going to take this and dump those out. And then I'm going to take my bone folder and give everything a nice little press there. And then drop those back in. And there you have it. Cute little treat box. This treat box, of course, you don't have to put this on here. You could just use your box this way and decorate it. Doesn't have to be for Valentine's. It could be for whatever. If you need a little treat box right now, put a Christmas design, some Christmas sentiment, use different paper, and you've got yourself a quick little treat box. Okay, so we've got that. And then here's one I did without designer series paper. And there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed those projects tonight. That's what I have for you. I will be back on Thursday night with another project. Okay? I hope everybody stays dry and warm. Have a great time, and I will see you very soon. Thanks for watching. Be sure and hit the subscribe button and that notification bell if you're rewatching in YouTube. And you don't forget about free shipping that starts tomorrow. You can check that out in my online store. I'd appreciate your business. Thank you so much. Good night.